Hey, my Legion. How you all doing today? I'm here today with my friend John Walkwitz to review the newly restored, well, I think from 2016, Night of the Living Dead from the Criterion Collection.
Well, they just released it not that long ago.
Oh, they just released not that long. It was.
It was a copyright of 2016, but
okay.
It was just released. I think was it earlier this year or last year, late last year?
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure about that.
No, it's a fresh release.
Oh, no, it's sweet, and then
surely case too.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, Criterion Collection, which they make good quality stuff. They did a 4K master, and then this is a 1080 though. And yeah, whose name do we see that money came from? George Lucas, remember?
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know, some George Lucas Foundation helped pay for the restoration.
Yeah, Industrial Lights and Magic.
Well, they didn't do it, but there's a project. I don't know if it's
from, let's say, soundtrack by Industrial Film Production Company, where Key got their start. Okay, yeah. I mean, definitely, this is, really amazing, because I remember the old days of VHS seeing this.
Or like what, one when it came out?
Yeah, well, I mean, this came out the year we were born, in 1968, and it wasn't until I remember reading about it in Famous Monsters of Filmland. I always wanted to see it, and not till, we got VCR. I remember getting one of the good copies from Media Home Entertainment, because Fangoria said, it ended up being a public domain because they didn't pay the royal. I mean, what was the deal with that?
I think Romero's one partner or something, or didn't forgot to copyright the film or something like that. I can't remember the exact details.
Well, it fell in public domain where any company could release it. So you saw all the companies. But I remember Fangoria, this back in the days of VHS before DVD, said that the best copy was the Hal Roach one, which I never saw anyway, and then the Media Home Entertainment one, which is the one I rented, and I remember buying a copy of that when I was in Germany. And yeah, it's really an amazing collection. You see this iconic photo that some people have on shirts and stuff like that. Yeah, her right there.
Yes, and actually I've met her, Kyra Shawn.
Oh, you have?
Kyra, how do you say it? She came out to Erie Horror Fest one year because Romero's films are shot in Pittsburgh. A lot of the people that have appeared in his movies have come up to the Horror Fest. I know a couple years they had a lot of tables with people that played zombie extras. Kara came up one year. She is a really nice lady. I think I'm Facebook friends with her.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, she not too big on a lot of attention as in doing interviews, but she doesn't mind meeting the fans and stuff. But I think she's more of a kind of quiet, nice person. And she's one of two people I've met from the film. Well, three actually. Another one that's come up a few times was Joe Unitas, who's the lighting director. And yes, his cousin is the famous football player, the quarterback, Johnny Unitas. Cool. They're first cousins. And a funny story, one time I was leaving a hotel, because we would all stay at the Avalon, which is just a couple blocks away from the Warner Theater where the Horror Fest would take place. I was getting the elevator to go over, and I ran into Joe's wife. I can't remember his name, or her name, I mean. His wife, really nice lady, and she goes, "Oh, don't you work for the Horror Fest?" And I introduced myself.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah, I work with Greg, and she goes, "Oh, do you mind walking over with me? Because Joe warned me that bums will come up and bother you, and I don't want to walk." Yeah, you got to remember these people are in their 70s, late 60s. Then probably early 70s, because they're probably my parents' age, and. So I'm like, yeah, sure. So, because Joe went over earlier to set up, because he brought some of the original lights from the movie that they used to the Horror Fest. So he was there to sign autographs. So I walked over, she was hanging my arm and talking with me the whole way. And sure enough, bum came up to us asking for some money. I checked my, I don't have any change on me, which I don't think I had any change, just bills, but I wasn't giving him some bills. And it was funny. We go walking into the Warner, and some of the ladies that worked for the Horror Fest were sitting at the ticket table, and she looks over and points to me and says, "Hey, girls, look what I picked up on the street."
That's awesome.
Yeah, I guess she's a lot of fun to hang out with. A lot of times, the United they'd come up to hang out with Greg's parents, Dick and Mavis Rupp, the owners of the Horror Fest. And just come up out of Pittsburgh. A lot of the people would just come up to hang out with us. Like we got to meet some of the people from Dawn of the Dead, which we could talk about later when we do the reviews for that. Years ago, before Greg ever started the Horror Fest, he had a special get-together. There used to be a Holiday Inn in Edinburgh. And he had a special showing of Night of the Living Dead, with John Russo was there, and Bill Heinzman, who plays the very first zombie, because Bill's daughter, I can't remember her name, if it was Sharon or something, she was going to Edinburgh at the time, university, and was working at Papa Rupp's video store. So, yeah, they had a special show. It was really fascinating listening to Bill and John talk about different things. Not just Night of the Living Dead, but other projects they worked on. And, it was kind of funny, like, it's like they were working on some film together, and, they had some people that are helping out part of the crew. I thought these were like boxers or something, some real young guys. But they said, they're all fall asleep like late at night when they're still doing production, where John and Bill, who are much older, are still going strong, working on stuff, working on the set. I don't know what project it was, but it's kind of interesting. Then I also met Bill years later again, after Greg started the Horror Fest, that they had a special table up at the Mill Creek Mall. And Bill was like their special guest to meet with the people there and sign autographs. So I got to chat with him again then. Really nice guy. And I bought it for Greg. Now, he said Bill gave it to the Rupps, but if you want to pick that up.
Okay, yes. Check this beautiful thing out.
It's a model based on a movie of Night of the Living Dead. Of Bill's character, the very first zombie you see. Yeah, and of course it's not assembled, because I don't know if it'd be worth more keeping it unassembled. Now, I don't know if it's true or not, but I thought Greg said that this was like one of the prototypes.
It's beautiful. And
Bill got to keep the ones that weren't made, but I don't know if that's true or not. I could be misremembering too. But, I've never didn't bother to put together, neither did the Rupps. So Greg needs some money, I bought it off of him.
And you got the head and the hands right there.
Yeah.
That's pretty beautiful, man. Oh, and you got another piece.
That's probably the base.
The base for the stand where he would stand on.
Yep.
Stand by your zombie.
Of course, maybe I should give that back to his daughter. Of course, then again, if Bill gave it to them as a gift, if that's true.
1968, 1993, Image 10 Incorporated. Let me go ahead and put that back in there properly. I mean, that thing is beautiful.
So, another funny story is my brother, this part's not funny, but him and his wife had getting divorced, and his wife had to move away towards Pittsburgh, and his son was living with her, even though they had joint custody. Well, my brother's realized that his ex-wife and his son were living near that cemetery that the opening scenes of Night of the Living Dead was shot. And my nephew never realized that, so we actually took a trip to there, because my nephew's like, oh, I know exactly where it's at. Here it's like a quarter of a mile from where they're living. So wow. I got some photos, which I don't think ever got developed, of the cemetery right where they shot the opening scenes when they pull into the cemetery. Don't worry about it now.
Okay, well, we'll get it. They won't stay dead. They won't stay resting in the box either.
Yeah, so that's my story. It's the Night of the Living Dead, getting to meet a few of the people, 3 of them that were involved. Oops, I got to grip my camera.
And then John and I met John Russo for the very first time in September at the Comic-Con. I got the...
Erie Comic-Con.
The Erie Comic-Con, and I got the book. I bought the book of Night of the Living Dead 2.
Yeah.
It's pretty... Well, not Night of the Living Dead, not Night of the Living Dead 2. But, I can't
remember if Romero's son is doing a prequel or sequel or something he's working on now.
That would be really
I think
cool
it got greenlit. Yeah. So it might be interesting. I thought I read something about that not that long ago. I think I read it a few times, and I think it did get the green light to go ahead and make it.
Because I remember George Romero, he was the one that revolutionized the zombie movie changed it into like them being flesh eaters. Yeah, from the traditional voodoo zombie, from movie classics like White Zombie, I Walk with a Zombie, or King of the Zombie with Matt Moreland. I would love to tell the humor in that, but I'm not going to. Not politically, but very funny though.
Yeah, yeah, and as you were saying earlier, I keep moving my hands. They never say the word zombie in this movie.
Ghoul.
Yeah, ghoul. And it was originally going to be called Night of the Anubis, which, if I remember correctly, was Anubis, the Egyptian god of the dead.
Yeah. And not Elliot Gould either.
And then Richard Matheson, I think I read or he said once, or I guess he stumbled across the movie on cable at like a hotel room, started watching it. He goes, he thought it was a very good version of his story, I Am Legend, which I don't think it was meant to be like a ripoff or anything. You know, I don't think George Romero and Russo were just like ripping him off, but you know, it has a very similar storyline. There's a lot of movies and stories that take place. Like I think there was even one well before Matheson, like it might go back to the 1800s, where there's a storyline like that too. But there's some, good movies like that where they're holed up in one location and stuff like Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight was good. Dog Soldiers was great.
I never saw Dog Soldiers.
Oh, you haven't seen that? Oh, that's fantastic. We got to watch that sometime. I got to buy that one. I don't know why I don't own it.
Killer Shrews. The Killer Shrews was on that, and also Eye Creatures. I think they were held up in one place and stuff like that.
That's a good way to do a low budget movie. Think of that. I know, like some of Jason's viewers are low budget movies. Yeah, it's a real simple setup location. You had a couple small locations, but the majority of it took place in a house, and they were able to use that very well. Like, just right around the location. So you keep it low budget, because I remember it wasn't like Romero, a commercial editor or producer back then, and then decided to do a feature-length film.
And it influenced some other movie makers like Bob Clark, who went on and fame and fortune with Porky's and Christmas Story and stuff like that.
And Black Christmas. Three classic movies in three different genres. You wouldn't think that the guy that did A Christmas Story also did Black Christmas and Porky's.
And then he did From the Hip, No One Ever Tied. That's a great movie, too.
Right.
But he did a couple, along with Black, he did a couple other, he did he did Death Dream, and then he did Children Shouldn't Play with Dead thing, but he told George Romero was the poor man's version of Night of the Living Dead. And then he was talking with... there was somebody he was talking with Tom Savini. He said that, and he influenced the whole genre. I mean, and rest in peace to George and Bob Clark and George Romero
and Bill Heinzman.
And Bill Heinzman
passed away.
And I know I talked to Lynn Lowry, and I told her it was a shame that he passed away, and I showed her my tribute video. And she liked it. She said that he probably would have really liked that video I did.
Yeah. Well, and such a nice lady. She's a class act.
She's awesome. And she even says thanks for continued support, because she was doing something about Jack the Ripper or something like that, new movie and stuff like that, going all actresses.
Yeah, and she's been to the Horror Fest. In case you're wondering where Jason met her, she's been to Horror Fest a couple of times.
She's a class act. She's a wonderful person and a great human being. Well, a lot of these people are. And the one thing is, people remember horror films. Because, I don't mean to change my voice to change, but Jennifer Connelly was bashing that Argento film she was in and promoting Dark Water. No one remembers Dark Water. Everyone remembers Phenomena or Creeper that she was in.
Right. And that's a problem. Like, all these people that get, we shouldn't say horror movies. Oh, that wasn't a horror movie. That was suspense thriller. That's a horror movie. Get over yourself. These people get too full of themselves. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with horror movies. And actually, like I said before, I can't remember if I said it in one of your videos before, but I know we talked about it. Universal was saved by horror movies because they pumped a lot of money into some drama that tanked at the box office, but just so happens they re-released Dracula and Frankenstein as a double feature, and it made them a ton of money and saved them from going under.
We gotta check those originals out again.
I've got copies.
Especially the Wolfman. I haven't seen Wolfman in ages. I mean, and go back to renting the videotape. I remember renting Night of the Living Dead. It had to have been the summertime. It was a Monday night. I had to wait till baseball was over because that was when to finally watch that in the news. I finally watched it late night. I found it was very scary, and it was where the stairs, where the TV was. My back was. I mean, I was a lot younger. Back was to the stairs. I was always like looking behind me.
Yeah, he was 45.
Very effective the very first time I seen the movie. Yeah, and then the next day, you know, it was in the summertime. Dave Longshore lived like real close, like a mile away on Mohawk Road, and then his mother. I went down there and I said, well, there's a couple movies that him and I could watch, and he said they can't be R-rated. I remember Night of the Living Dead. There was an ad for Midnight Movies because when Mill Creek 3 used to show midnight movies, there were 3 that ran the longest. Night of the Living Dead, well, Rocky Horror Picture Show ran the longest, Pink Floyd The Wall, and Night of the Living Dead. Those are the ones that ran the longest. I remember there was an ad saying it was R-rated or something like that. Even though I think it's, I guess it'd be R-rated, a very mild R rating today, but I'd say PG-13 for this one.
Yeah.
And his mother said, well, he's not allowed to watch R-rated movies. I said, well, I have Raise the Dead PG-13 and Night of the Living Dead PG-13. She said, well, you can watch one of those. And I said, okay. And then we came on and said, well, we'll watch Night of the Living Dead. And he said, well, it's R-rated. Oh, thanks, man. But I don't know if it was really R-rated or not. And I remember there was a scene with them throwing the Molotov cocktails off the roof and stuff like that. And they had that song on the radio come out at the same time. All she wants to do is dance. It says Molotov cocktails, a local drink. It was pretty cool. And I remember really enjoying the film. Mm-hmm. And I loved it. And it was really cool. Even the remake... Well, they did a remake in 1990. I saw in the military, and I know my friend didn't want to see it. And I thought Tom Tolles was really good playing. And you were lucky enough to meet him.
Yeah, he was a really nice guy. Another one of the many people who come out to Erie Horror Fest. Really nice guy. Funny as hell. He had me and Alex Vincent, who as a kid starred in the first two Child's Play movies. Tom had the two of us just laughing our asses off. I can't remember what he was saying, but it was just so funny in his delivery and stuff. And I asked him about what it was about his bar fight in the TV show Firefly. You know, he says, "Oh, I could kick Mal's ass anytime," and stuff like that. And he's a pretty good guy. Unfortunately, he passed away because I was hoping to get him out, and then I'm gonna brain fart his name now. The guy he did the movie with, Henry Portrait was serial killer.
Oh, Michael Rooker.
Yeah, Michael Rooker.
Yeah, he
I'd
was
love
awesome in that.
Get
that
the two of them together,
movie.
But unfortunately he passed away. But he probably, I don't know if he could have gotten us Michael or not, but that'd be great to have those two and do a special showing of that movie.
Oh man, that was such a good movie. I saw it again on Netflix with my dad. I think I saw it the first time. My dad saw it the first time. They did a second one. The second one wasn't very good.
No, yeah.
I mean, the remake of that introduced me to the greatness of Tom Tolles. I saw him in other movies like Henry Port, The Borrower, which is really, and Fortress. Fortress is good. Stuart Gordon, and then he was on shows like Nightstand and stuff like that.
Like I said, Firefly, which is good.
Definitely, and he was in other stuff too. He's a brilliant actor. I don't know what his first movie was. I don't know if it was a remake of Night of the Living Dead or not.
Yeah,
and then they did a 3D remake, which is okay. Then they did Night of the Living Dead Revelation, which is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. It was an abomination. But, I mean, I'm going back to... I'm not really getting off track because it's all in the world of Night of the Living Dead on this one. We know so much about this movie. And I was so excited to see this restoration cleaned up portion of the movie. And it seemed like there was bits, like little dialogue about when he was talking about driving through the Zion. There was a little bit more gut munching in it. This one, at least it seemed like, because I don't remember.
Right.
But I mean, it's possible that some of the scenes were so dark you couldn't remember.
Yeah, because that's what I remember is like seeing stuff on VHS, the copy I had. I think I had a cheap copy, and some of the scenes seemed pretty dark and stuff, but this is really clean. They restored the audio as well as the video.
Yeah, I remember some of the dialogue like, they're dead, they're all messed up. And then like, this for Per, I'm sorry Per, I know when you were in Google Hangout you hated this, but they're coming to get you, Barbara.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Yeah, she hated that. They're coming to get you. And
I
then
better not watch Shaun of the Dead either, then.
And then it was cool because, like, George Romero was saying, like, when you first see the zombie coming, he's just, like, right in the background, he's not bothering anybody.
Right.
And then, you know, it's the threat's not real till he gets close to you. And a lot of people say, well, you just run the zombies, but eventually they'll catch up with you. Because you get tired, we're human, and they're not.
Right. And his zombie wasn't that slow like other zombies. Yeah. He wasn't one of the fast-moving ones, but he wasn't real slow. He moved at an okay pace. You know, I think other zombies moved a lot slower. But, yeah, he did a good job. Really, like I said, nice guy from what I remember. I remember we talked about and stuff.
Because I remember I saw a story on the news about it, and my dad said if I would known about it, I would have taken you there. I didn't know anything about it.
Right.
But, I mean, I didn't have internet or anything like that, so I didn't connect or I didn't know.
Yeah.
And this was like 2002 or 2006 or something like that? Or,
I can't remember.
It laid
the first time the Horror Fest was 2004. That was the first year of the Horror Fest. So I can't remember what year Bill was.
Stuff. I kicked myself in the butt, but I didn't know anything. You know,
right?
It's just the way it was and stuff like that. And I had anxiety.
That's the way it was.
Yeah, and that's the way it is. But there's other cool things about it, like you see George Romero as a reporter, and then you can see Bill Cardille.
Chili Billy Cardille.
Yeah, and his daughter was in Day of the Dead,
right.
The good one, not that crappy remake, the one from 1985, which I loved. And then, like, some company, Taurus, bought out Laurel, and then they made that god-awful Creepshow 3, and then they did a sequel to Day of the Dead called Day of the Dead 2 Contagion, which I'd never seen. I don't think that's any good.
Right, probably not.
And I love this movie. It's so great to see it cleaned up, so great to see. I think there was extra footage, a little bit of extra footage in there. And that nude zombie, they had it cleaned up a little bit. You can see her boobs a little bit, which was really cool. And,
boobs are always cool.
Yeah.
Boobies.
And I was blown away by this. I mean, my rate, of course, a 10 out of 10. I love the fighting between Dwayne and Mr. Cooper. And some of that stuff was real funny. Right. Like, go to the gate, get out of here. He was so pissed off at me that Mr. Cooper was awesome. And the one thing I know I'm going on, I'm trying to get everything I remember about this. Dwayne Jones, he was in a very bizarre vampire movie after, I can't remember the name, a few years after this, but they were talking about, critics were saying how brilliant it was having a African-American, a black man in the lead, and George Romero said that was like, well, as Bob Ross would call it, a happy accident, because he was actually the best actor we knew at the time, so we cast him in the lead of the movie.
Right.
And I love this movie. It's a 10 out of 10. I think I got everything in there. It was really brilliant. And in that remake, Tom Savini, it was really cool to see the little tweaks he made, but that was more of a character study than anything else.
Right.
And I remember that one girl that played that girl's boyfriend kept screaming. My dad was like, will you please shut up? Because he said irritating when they're screaming and stuff. I remember when I was playing a lot on cable. But they said that he made the sequel because he said or the remake because he needed the money, but I don't know about that.
Yeah.
So I think that's about it. I mean, we know a lot about this one. I mean, we're like crazy amounts of information. I remember they had a great documentary on Tempe Entertainment back in 93, and they were selling them all through Giant Eagle for like $15. I remember buying a copy of that. That was very informative too. And I just love the Night of the Living Dead. And I was so glad to get to see it, a cleaned up version, crystal clear version at my buddy John's house. So, full on 10 out of 10. I mean, I think that's all I had to say about that. So, and it's also filming on St. Patrick's Day. And I got this shirt from Munch Rights. It kind of figured the zombie movie Munching and stuff like that. A little white right there. So, I mean, this won't be posted on St. Patrick's Day, but I wanted to tell you about that. So I guess that's about it for my friend John and I for this 85-minute review of Night of the Living Dead. We know a lot about it, so it's a long review, but I'm proud to do it because it deserves it, and it has that classic look to it, And so I guess until next time, everybody, please take care of my legion.